Tony Gonzalez played for 17 seasons, 14 times he was a Pro Bowler. That's in the history of the National Football League. That's tied for the most times. And so we're going into Week 8, and Week 8 is probably where everything hurts. You're seeing, my wife even mentioned it yesterday. She's like, man, there's a lot of players hurt this year. And I'm like, well, no preseason, no training camp. You know, that's probably part of it. Tony Gonzalez now joining me live. So by Week 8 of an NFL season, and when I first had you on the air years and years ago, you really took care of your body. But by Week 8, I've had players tell me the league changes. You feel different. It's not the same. So as we get very close to the halfway point. Week 8's the halfway point. How was your body going forward? Did you feel like you had more care? You needed more sleep? We're halfway through the NFL season. How does a player feel today?
Well, I mean, you're right. This is where it gets, a sore. But you kind of get used to it. At least for me, I always felt like I was sore. I felt like something was wrong. You know, your ankle, your knee, there's something nagging you. And you might even have something more than that, something a little bit more major. But you got to take care of yourself. You got to get your sleep. You got to, you can't burn the candle on both ends, the midnight oil, so you don't really go out as much. And you're in the training room. You're just trying to do the best you can to take care of yourself to get through it.
Yeah. Kansas City yesterday scored a touchdown on offense, defense, and special teams. In the last couple of weeks, they have not asked Patrick Mahomes to carry the franchise. He's throwing 23 times. They're protecting him. They're doing everything well. I love it. I mean, you played on, if I recall, 2 or 3 really good teams. Did you ever feel like that you were on a team that literally all 3 elements, special teams, defense, and offense, all 3 were loaded? Did you ever have – because Kansas City's getting to the point where I feel like they're becoming a perfect team, which is they have a star quarterback and they don't need him. I mean, yesterday it was ho-hum. Did you ever plan a team that was good on all 3 phases?
Well, no. I did. I think my 16th year in the league, we went to the NFC Championship game. That was the most balanced team that I ever played on. And even then, it was way more swung towards the offense. We had Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, myself, Roddy White, Michael Turner in the backfield. We had some good players on the defensive side of the ball as well, but they weren't where we were at as far as the offense. And that's why you don't win the Super Bowl. And the times I've had it before, I remember back in, with the Kansas City Chiefs, Priest Holmes, in the offense, we had the number 1 offense in the league and the last ranked defense in the league. And of course, you lose the first round of the playoffs when you have that type of team. But looking at the Chiefs this year, when you have that type of balance, that's what spells Super Bowl. That's why they won the Super Bowl last year. That defense, they won the Super Bowl because their defense stepped up last year. It's not about the offensive side of the ball. And the defense looks better than it did last year.
Yeah.
It looks more balanced. It looks more aggressive. And if you have that, then once again, I know there's some pretty good teams. Pittsburgh's a great team in the AFC, but still, my money's on the Kansas City Chiefs to make another Super Bowl run. Yeah, no, they've got some playmakers on the defensive side. Tony Gonzalez joining us. So Odell Beckham is out for the year, and it's interesting. It's almost like, is it genetics? Is it luck? You didn't get hurt. Odell now, he's defined by a lot of injuries. That's kind of, Jarvis Landry is not. Odell is. It's bad breaks. Do you think injuries are just bad luck? Or can you avoid them by health and training? You and Brady are obsessed. Russell Wilson, you and Brady are obsessed with nutrition and health. None of you get hurt. Or is it, what do you make of players that get hurt a lot? You know what it is? I look back and there are times that I would put on the tape, Colin, the next day of me blocking somebody, for instance. And then all of a sudden some lineman gets thrown into me. And I get my leg just up at the last split second. And when the coach is like, man, if your foot was planted there, if it was just a half a second later, you would have been out for the season. So there is luck that plays into that. But also one thing that I do believe, and I believe this, we talk about it on the set all the time with Howie and Miles, talking to Strahan about this yesterday. When we practice as hard as we can go. I don't believe that you can, take the car out once a week and rev the engine up. You got to do it consistently every day. Otherwise, you blow your engine out when you do finally go. And you're seeing a lot of these non-contact injuries, kind of like that one right there, where he's just running really, and the knee goes out. I was very cognizant. Whenever we went on that football field practice time, it was full speed for me, 100 miles an hour, because I wanted to keep my body in that moment. I didn't want my body to forget that this is how we operate, so I don't shock it when we go out there on Sundays.
Pittsburgh's defense is it's just terrorizing people. Even Tennessee was totally befuddled in the first half. Go back to your entire career, 17 years. What was the best defense you faced? And when you face a great defense, what is the difference? Scheme, speed, strength. Go back to the best defense you faced. What made it so difficult?
Well, I'm a big believer you got to have players. You got to have horses, okay? You got to have the horses that go around the track. And you look at every Super Bowl winning team, they always have some all pros on that side of the ball. You can't just say, okay, if we play hard enough in our scheme, that'll get us through it. You got to have the guys. And so you need a combination of that and then guys in the right place. I think you could always look at the New England Patriots they do always do pretty well because they're always in the right place. I remember I've had my worst games against the New England Patriots. I had one catch for 13 yards against Bill Belichick and the Patriots because they know how to scheme really well. But if you look at the great defenses, I remember the Baltimore Ravens defense. Look at all the Hall of Famers they had on that side of the ball when they made that Super Bowl. You got Ray Lewis. You got Ed Reed. You got guys I can't remember right now. Even go back to the Tampa Bay Bucs defense when they won the Super Bowl and they had that great defense. You got Warren Sapp. You got John Lynch. You got Rondé Barber. You got guys that are Hall of Fame pedigree when you have those legendary type defenses.
So is Tampa the best team you've seen in the league so far?
Absolutely. I mean, we were just talking about yesterday. It seems like, I guess it's like boiling water. When you ever boil water and you look at it and it starts to bubble up and you see it and you're like, here it comes. And then all of a sudden it starts boiling. This team right now is boiling to me on offense, on defense, on special teams. Tom Brady he looks way better than he's looked at the beginning of the season. Even Gronkowski, I kind of wrote him off at the beginning of the season. I remember saying, well, he looks slow. I guess the partying was, it's catching up to him, but he's starting to come around. And I think with them playing like this, and then you add Antonio Brown, it's going to be a merry-go-round of talent. And just you got to pick which you want to ride the zebra today, you want to ride the horse, you want to ride the lion, whatever. And that's what I think the only thing that's going to stop this team to me at this point, and I don't think it's going to happen because Tom Brady's there, is about guys, checking your ego at the door. I always say no ego has no amigo. You might not catch your 5-6 balls that you're used to, especially when Antonio Brown come in. It's all about winning, and I think you couldn't have a better guy than Tom Brady to be at the helm of that team because of all the talent that they have.
Tony, finally, Cowboy players, I was shocked Andy Dalton got cheap-shotted, and nobody went over to John Bostic. Many have speculated players have quit. It's just hard to hockey and football. I don't know how you quit. You get hurt. Were you ever on a team that you felt like guys weren't going full speed? Like was that ever? You were part of that. You've been part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. We won 2 games. I shouldn't say the year, but yeah, you get on those teams when you're not winning, and guys packing in. I think it's kind of human nature. It takes a special person to still, because football's tough. It's hard. And when the wheels fall off, and I've been on these teams that where the wheels fall off, human nature, you got to understand that, 50-60% of the team is going to dial it in. They're going to say, hey, you know what? We're not going to the playoffs. We stink. We're getting embarrassed. We're the Cowboys. Everybody's going to be talking about us. And I think it's just kind of human nature. I don't know how that's where the critical coaching comes in. And I think Coach McCarthy, he's getting a little bit of a bad rap because I heard the interview after the game that he gave. And he even said it. He goes, after that hit, he was saying, he would have liked to have seen some guys rally around around the quarterback. And I said the same thing. That should have been a melee. That should have been a big fight on the football field because that was a cheap shot by Bostic. Now, I'm sure he has his reasons why he did it or whatever, but the way it looked to me, it was an absolute cheap shot. And that's where other linemen, other players, the bench, it should have been something like that, because that is your lifeline. And you just don't do that to other players, especially in this day and age of football. So I think right now half of that team is gone. They're packing their bags. They're saying, where am I going during the offseason? I might get traded. The wheels have fallen off completely with the Cowboys. And I hope they get it back together, because they still have some talented players. But that defense is not playing hard. They're not stopping anybody. They didn't stop Washington. They give up. Washington had their best game of the season against the Cowboys, and they're somewhat pretty healthy. It's just it's complete chaos right now down there in Dallas.
NFL kickoff on Sundays. Interviewed Matt Ryan this weekend. Tony Gonzalez, Fox Sports NFL analyst. It's a pleasure. Good seeing you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Tony Gonzalez. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.